Hey guys and girls, it's Blackjack with 396 Guitars. We have a US made Stratocaster on the bench today. It's getting a fair amount of work. Let's get to it. I'm going to tell you it's a 60th anniversary, which is going to put it probably in the 90s, I think, because I might have a 60th anniversary bass in my collection. So I'm going to say it's probably 90s sometime. I could be wrong. You guys can correct me on it. I'm not going to sit here and calculate it. We're putting new Fender locking tuners in. Yeah, made in Taiwan. Be careful. I have used these tuners before. They are actually pretty good. We are also putting in a, bigger trim. Good stuff. Really good stuff. It is, I say it a million times, Leo Fender had it right. He knew what he was doing when he built this stuff and invented it. But this is definitely an upgrade. It is really, really good stuff. Again, yeah, really good stuff. Bare knuckle. We're changing all three pickups. We're changing the entire bridge and trem assembly. We're changing the tuners. So the only thing I will say moving forward, this client just really, really likes his action low, low, low. Guitar has not been played in a long time. Strings are they're just gacked out and rusted. So he's investing some time and effort and a little bit of money in it. Clearly, and I love customers like this. This client comes to me. He's already done his own research and brought me what he wants in this instrument. I love that. So let's get to it. The first thing I'm going to do today is address the tuners. I want to get that done and out of the way. The strings, I'm not even going to bother trying to measure where we start and where we're going, because literally everything is being changed, and this and all these, and so we're going to get to it. One way or another. I'm going to tell you that these are in the back. There is no screw that holds it in the back. They have the thread set that goes through the top, and then there are just two pins that kind of sit in the wood back here. I am hoping against hope that these tuners that are coming out have the same measurement. I'm praying for a direct fit, but that rarely happens. So we're going to find out together. So, strings and things that we don't need. These are not going to want to go through, probably, and they're going to probably stab me, at least one of them will. Oh, very agreeable. So he's got the Darios in there. I know that because they're colored. Before I forget, I want to, and this, guitar's been sitting for a long time, so I'm going through every nut and bolt, fastener, everything on this guitar, just to make sure everything is snug, because when I give it back to this guy's a pro, he knows what he's doing. I don't want there to be any issues with stuff that wasn't tightened up or checked at least. Just snug everything up. Feels like a loose output jack too. Not 100% sure, but always before I forget. And these things are notorious for loose output jacks. So we can keep all of those in the same thing. Yeah. Is it loose? Of course it is. Of course it is. Can't have it. And these, you want the tip to be oriented down, straight down into the cavity. Oh yeah. Took a good turn. Yeah, I like that. The solder joints look pretty good. All right. I'm digging on this guitar. It's the real deal. It's the real deal. And whenever you do that, just make sure you plug your jack in. They can, get against the route on either side, and the tip will actually push against the wood, and you'll wonder why your 1/4-inch jack, your guitar cable won't go in. Well, that's why, because that's why you have to have them oriented correctly. You follow? All right, let's get one of these off and tell the story, right? Is it going to be 2 or 1? It's 2. I like that. And this is what we're talking about right here. These two right here. Now, there are different spacings. So we're not out of the woods yet. What we're going to do now is pull one of the new ones out and make sure that they're, first of all, the bore hole is correct. It's a direct replacement. If it's not, we'll have to open it up and pray. I'm really hoping that the centering tips on the back are the same spacing. And unfortunately, very oftentimes they are not. I think we got lucky. Is it going to just go right in there? Yahtzee. I love it when a plan comes together. Now, pay attention when you're swapping these out, because very often they will start tall and get shorter as you tail off from the low E to the high E. And I can't remember if these do or not. I'm pretty certain they do. Yes, they do. So the longer ones you want to, for the bass side, low E, and then they just put them in order as I have done. I started with the low E, and as you go down or go up to the high E, they'll get shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter because the strings are smaller, and yeah. So that is pretty much that. I'm going to show you the other side quickly, and then I'm going to pause while I swap the rest of them out. It's these little nipples that stick off right here that fit into those right there. Now, sometimes you'll have a tuner that has a little tip that sticks out and the screw holds that so that the tuner can't turn under tension or pressure. These are direct replacement, and I'm going to give kudos to the client again for doing his homework. He is my hero today because I've had an absolute list lately of parts debacles with other clients. I won't mention any names. That's too tight. Okay, so I am going to pause while I swap out the rest of these. That's the easy part of today's lesson. Then we're going to get this open and see what the hell's going on in there. Stand by. So that was literally, I can't remember the last time that I did a tuner swap on a client's guitar, and it was so easy. It just went bing, bang, boom, done. These three are all the same size. These get smaller as it tails off, like I said. I took all the screws out of the pick guard. I've already tap tested. I know everything in here is working. He does have a 5-position, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-position, kind of like a baritone type of thing. I'm going to assume this is a super switch. I wonder what's going on in here. Well, it's a regular switch. I would have thought that was a super switch, but it's not. There's our tone. It's kind of like a baritone, Fender's version of a baritone, for lack of a better term. This all looks really clean and nice and neat. I don't know if it's factory. I see really big globs of solder, but these are King tone. I think these pickups may have been swapped out at some juncture in its past, but it doesn't matter. They're coming out now. So what I'm going to do is fire up the solder iron, and I'm going to desolder it, take it off. I prefer to do it not dangling around on here. It's just a couple of ground wires that we have to remove. The output jack and a couple of ground wires, and that's what I'm going to do next. Do I have any water for my sponge? Maybe just enough. I'll get this thing fired up. Output jack goes to the main volume pot center lug, always on a Fender Strat. And then you have your bridge ground and probably a body ground and ground to the output. So you got 3 grounds on this one. There's one actually screwed right into the body. Necessary? Meh, sometimes. I don't think so, but they got one on this guy. So we're going to take all 3 of those grounds off, and we're going to pop that off. So just to make it easier to work on this, I'm swapping all 3 pickups. So I'm going to do it exactly like it is here, but it's easier to do on the bench, and I'm not dangling and yanking on wires. That's just the way I do things. You follow? Well, I gotta get some solder. I'm running low. All right, where are we at? I don't know if I have enough heat here yet. Yeah, probably just enough. Let's get our output jack out first. Out. Probably these are not going to cooperate. It has a big glob of solder on there, and that always makes it hard to desolder. Desoldering is just a pain in the ass, and sometimes you have to kind of concede defeat and just snip it off, because if you heat it up too much, yeah, there's too much solder on there. That one, these two smaller ones might come off. I'm going to snip these. I think this guy might come off. Yeah, there's too much solder on there. It doesn't need to be that much. Come on, you get off there. I'll try it one more time. Are you going to agree or not? I don't think so. Yep, there we go. Got it off there. All right. And of course, Fender sometimes bugs me. They ran the connecting ground from pot to pot, just put a bare spot in the middle and ran that into the bridge. I don't agree with that. It's one way to do it. I mean, it's not improper. I just don't dig it. I don't do it that way. So we're going to put that ground back on. Right now we can get rid of the guitar and let her hang out on the stand. Nothing's going to come off. She's pretty much gutted. And then we're left with our work here, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is put that ground from middle tone back to the volume pot, just so I don't forget. Re-tin our ground lead. Put it right back where it came from. Nice flow. Got a good ground there now. Alright, so that ground is fixed. Tuck it under so it doesn't get in the way of the edge when we put it back on. Little wires like that will make your life miserable later on down the road. So I like the job. The job was done very nicely on. This is all nice and neat. This is exactly how I would do it. You just kind of put them together so that they go in the route in the body. Put a little zip tie on that one, and then they're going to come around here. This route is a little bit bigger so it can handle that little cluster of wires. So what we got to do, I'm desoldering and removing these pickups. And they are all clearly marked, so I don't have to. Kingtone. Yeah. It must be a handmade in California. California. Bluebird J1, Bluebird J1. I'm assuming these two, the middle and the neck, are the same. This one would probably be a little bit different, but we're going to test them because he did want to know what the output of these are and what the output or the resistance is. And we always say output, but it's not really output, it's resistance. It's resistance of the pickups that are going in it, just as a comparison. So let's get these out and make a note what they are. Right. These all go to the 5-way switch. It's usually neck, middle, bridge, and if I'm not mistaken, that's the way this one is. Yeah, bridge is down, middle is going to be middle, and yeah. I'm not digging the solder job on this at all. It is really cloudy, crusty, and not complete. So we're gonna remedy that, of course. Let's first just get them off. Bridge. Like that lug right there looks like it might want to snap off. It has been bent too many times. We may be putting a 5-way switch in this. Let's get the pickups out first and inspect that lug. This 5-way switch, I think, has been abused. I don't like the way that lug especially felt. Everything else looked like a good job. Grounds for the pickup. Again, huge glob of solder. Huge glob of solder. Don't need that. Let's see if I can desolder it. I don't know. They are all together. I can just get it to flow a little bit. And we'll try to clean up the puddle as much as we can to make it flow better on installation. Alright, so pickups are ready to come out. I'm really concerned about the condition of the lugs, especially the bridge lug. I'm so anal, but I know that's where they go, but I'm just going to mark it. That bridge lug especially seems really loose, but it's not cracked. We're going to clean up those solder joints when we reflow the new joints for the new pickups. Pretty simple, straightforward at this point. We're just going to snip our ground wires. We don't need to try to desolder that. Get our grounds, all of our pickups separated, right? That's it. Now we're ready to swap them out. Stand by. I am going to, I'm going to show you one, and then I'll do the other two off camera, just to save a little video time, because I'd like to get to the point where I can solder it, get them installed, and tap test it in the guitar, just to kind of bring it full circle. These are marked. I like that. That says bridge. That one says neck, so this is middle. Let's change out the neck. Bare knuckles. Good, really good pickups. Oh, I know what I forgot to do. Client did specifically ask, so we are going to do it. So these king tone the neck. We're going to check the output. This might be a little bit longer video than usual because we're doing a couple of extra things. So the neck. Do I have to show this on camera? No, because it's going to disagree with me that it doesn't want to give me a nice clean lead. Stand by. So I've got the neck and the middle installed. We're going to take this one out and we're going to put this one in. I did test the pickups that came out. The neck was 5.99, the middle was 5.81, and the bridge was 5.81. We're going to test these, the bare knuckle ones, when we get them in. Now, generally, I put springs on these. I don't like the neoprene tubing, but look, the bare knuckle, that's what they sent, and they sent their own screws, their own hardware already mounted in the pickup, and I'm going to run with that. It'll work fine. I just prefer springs, but I don't like the neoprene. Never have liked that. But what do I know? I don't know. I don't know what I know. I can tell you what I don't know sometimes. Get the old pickup out, and it appears as though most of the old neoprene is just disintegrating. So it's been in there a long time. I get that. But yeah. These are pretty neat pickups. I'm sure these bare knuckles are going to have a little bit different character. I don't think that the resistance is going to be all that much different, but that doesn't always tell the whole truth of a pickup, if you follow my meaning. Pickups have different characters, the way they're wound, it's a lot of different things. Magnets. Alright, so bare knuckle sends them like this with the screws attached to hold the cover on the pickup. Take a little care when you're monkeying around with pickups, especially single coils like this, because as soon as the cap comes off, all your windings are exposed. So what I like to do, and bare knuckle is pretty cool about it, they measure it out, they think that that's the length that you want. You get the tubing off of the screw. That's going to act as your spring, right? Put your screw through the pickup, through the pick guard, I'm sorry. Put your neoprene on. Now, you want, when you slide that neoprene on there, that little tube on the screw, you need to have some thread showing. If you don't, you're going to struggle with that when you put it in, and you don't want that. So I had to actually, one of them on the middle pickup was too long, and it wasn't allowing the thread to get started in the pickup. And it looks like this one is the same way. I'm going to snip just a bit off. Just a bit. Talking about maybe 2 millimeters. When you put that on there, it serves two purposes. It holds the spring in place in the pick guard. I like that part of the design. I would have, but it also acts as the tension to hold the pickup against the inside of the pick guard. Orient your pickup to where it's going to be. Get it lined up and start turning it. Should find home pretty easily. If it doesn't, it's not lined up, or the neoprene tubing is getting in the way. Yeah. Come on, you. You can do it. You'll know as soon as it starts to pull home. Get your screw lined up. There we go. As soon as it starts to pull through, you'll feel the screw come through the back of the pickup. Don't go too high. That's all going to be adjusted during setup, of course. So, as I feared, we are getting a little bit long, but I do want to test these and see. Now, the old pickups actually had a little sticker on them. The ones that came out, it said what the output was, and it was pretty darn close. Let's see what these are. Neck, 5.99, identical. Middle, 5.99. And bridge, you come here. 6.50. So the bridge is a little bit hotter. As I said, they're all really, really close to what came out. It was 5.99, 5.99, 5.81, 5.99, 5.81, 6.50. So the bridge is going to have a little different character than the one that came out. These are going to be similar, but again, character, tone, they're going to sound different. I say it over and over and over again. You can't. The sun does not rise and set on what the output or the resistance of these pickups are. You want them to be like that. I mean, you don't want them to be 2 or 3 or 14. You know, you want them there. It's the way they're assembled, the way they're put together. The character of the pickup is gonna, is gonna say what it is once we put some heat to it. You follow? All right, I'm going to pause quickly while I all I'm going to do is, I'll show you, just like so. I'm going to put a zip tie there. I'm going to get these strung around here, and we're going to reverse the operation. I would like to get it in the guitar and soldered back up before we end this video. Put the grounds together and what have you, just to make sure that everything is working. If there's going to be a problem, I have to let the client know. I've worked with bare knuckle pickups before, and they are stout and they are well manufactured. Stand by. Okay, so you can see we have all the pickups mounted. I showed you that one. We put these in. This is the way I want my harness to go, right? Zip tie there to hold it. It's going to fall right in the cavity. I saved the last pickup lead. I already put the grounds on. This is the middle, is the last lead that we have to put on. And I left it long, and the reason you want to, I'm sorry, that's the neck. Yeah, the neck. Bridge, middle, neck. Okay? You don't want all that extra wire in there. And I'm going to follow the same route that I followed with these, so that it tucks underneath and just makes it to where it has to be. This one actually only needs, I think I can live with the length on that one. These two, I had to snip them. They were just too long. You don't want them to get in the way. They don't need to be hanging over something else, right? And let's get fired up here. I like that. It's tucked underneath. It's going to reach. I took the time to clean up all of the posts on the 5-way switch, blade switch. They were kind of in rough shape. And you want a nice clean solder. Clean solder joint is everything. Yep, that's going to work perfectly, right? Grounds are on. All the hot leads are on. And all we got to do is touch it with a little hot hot solder, and it should connect very nicely. Now, these cloth pullback wires are pre-tinned. I always tin them anyway. Just like so. And you should have a nice silver. Beautiful. Make sure you're not touching anywhere else, you know. Right? Neatness counts when you're doing this sort of job. Keep everything tucked in there nice and neat. And it should look just like that. Nice and neat, right? Follows right across here. Tucks underneath. You know, it's not going to get in the way anywhere under here. And reattach the same way you pulled it off. This one is, in particular, is pretty easy, even though I had to clean up some of the terminals on the 5-way switch. All right, so moving on, I'm going to put this aside, get the body back up here, and all I want to do to finish this phase of this particular job is to get our grounds and our output jack put back on. And then we're going to plug it into an amp and tap test it. Make sure that all 3 pickups are working. And they're working where they're supposed to be working with the 5-way switch. Yeah, all things being equal, you hope for the best. There isn't much there that can really hurt it, but you see why I take it off. To try to have done all that with all these wires attached, it's a pain in the ass, and I don't recommend it. Take it off the way I did it. Get your work on the bench where you can really get at it. All right. So I want to clean up all of the leads that we're using here and re-tin them. Make sure we have nice, clean joints to work with. It's important. In other words, snip off the old ones. If they look ugly, they are, and they're going to give you a problem. If you've only got 4 or 5 little tiny wires hanging out, snip it off clean. Start over. I think this one might be okay. I don't think so. Right? Start fresh. Nothing will screw up your job quicker than a bad solder joint. Yeah, it's tedious work, sure. But I can tell the guy that did this job before put a little too much solder, and he didn't really flow it well on the back of the pots, but I cleaned it up. Make sure when you're stripping your wires, you're not taking too much off. If you only have 2 little strands of wire hanging out, that ain't good enough. Now, you got to tin all of those ends. Yeah. Beautiful. So you want to be a guitar tech. You better know how to solder really well. You better know how to solder. And soldering is an art form. I say it over and over and over again. Ground leads, I like to have a little dollop of solder hanging off the end of the lead if you can get it to do it, because it will facilitate getting back to our joint on the back of the pot. So, all right, first things first, I've got a nice clean solder puddle there, and there. These 2 are a little bit longer. Those are going to go together and probably work really nicely the shorter leads, we're going to have to turn the pick guard around and get it to where we want it. Nice clean puddle. Get it to flow again. And it will pull a nice flow. Right? And repeat. Rinse and repeat as necessary. Not quite enough solder on there. It's the solder on the tip of the iron that actually gets your puddle to flow. I hope the head isn't in the way too bad. A gentle tug will tell you that you're home. That's our bridge ground, and there's a screw body ground in here too. Right there. All right, these two are, this is our output. And one goes to the back of the volume pot and one goes to the center lug of the volume. And this is where they're a little bit shorter, and we got to get our work closer to the length of the leads that they gave us to work with. All right, which is right there. And there's now with the cloth covered, you don't have to worry about melting it, but if it's a plastic covered wire that's in your zone where you're trying to make your connection, be careful. That is our output jack hot. And one last ground has to go right there. And then we can plug it in and test it. I just want to tap test it. We went really long in the tooth today. Yeah, we're good. Got a nice ground there. So at this point, we can kind of spin it around and get back to where it was that we started, right? This is where we started when we took the pick guard off. Let's give it a test. You're probably going to hear some ground noise, slight, but because we don't have any strings on it. Perfect. Yeah, there we go. That's our neck and middle only, middle and bridge only. And then, you got your baritone switch there to monkey around with all different kinds of tone variations. Everything's in there. It's all there. It's going to be interesting to see what it sounds like. It's pretty neat. I like this kind of thing because it gives you a million different tonal variations on what we started with. Say it was just a regular Strat. Getting our wires out of the way. Let's get her set back in there. Yahtzee. And that, my friends, is new tuners, new pickups installed. We tap tested them. We know everything's working. It's setting in the cavity the way it's supposed to. When we come back for the second part of this video, we're going to be doing a bridge swap. We're putting in the Vega trem system, right? The whole bridge system's coming out, the entire trem system. That's why we're doing two. Today's video went long for sure, but we got a lot of work done. So remember, if you dig what I'm doing, like and subscribe. I try to answer all your questions. Please don't be afraid to comment. We'll talk soon. And by all means, share.